Hello everybody and welcome to today's pricing webinar titled How to Understand Your Customer Journey from Your E-Commerce Analytics, presented by the customer journey expert Whitney from Divit. This webinar is about how your e-commerce analytics can tell you everything you need to know about your customer journey, and understanding how your customers interact with your site will help you improve your UX, user experience, and your overall customer experience. Before getting started, I would like to let you know that our presentation will take about 40 minutes. And second, if you have any questions during the webinar, please feel free to enter all of them to the chat box that you can see on the screen, or you can, of course, enter your questions under the question tab. And we will try to answer them during the Q&A session. And lastly, after today's webinar, we will be sending the recording of this webinar, which means that you can refer back everything again presented today. And also, please feel free to share the recording with any of your friends who you think would find it useful. So, before getting started, just a very quick introduction. My name is Mert, and I am responsible of marketing activities here at Prisync. That's me on the right top. And today we are excited to host customer journey expert Whitney, who will presenting how to understand your customer journey from your e-commerce analytics. Whitney is content marketing manager at Divit, a machine learning marketing attribution platform that's helped you to better understand campaign performance, track your customer journey, and improve your ROI. So we are lucky to have Whitney with us today with equal passion for outstanding customer experience, social, digital, and e-commerce. She is committed to creating content that's as informative as it's enjoyable. And I am personally believing our guests will get a lot of actionable insights today during our webinar. Now, I would like to invite Whitney to say hello to our audience. Whitney?
Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thank you, Whitney. Before leaving the stage for you, I would like to take a very short time to give a brief introduction about Prisync and what we do here. So at Prisync, we provide automated competitor price checking software for all sizes of e-commerce companies and retailers. We have two brands. E-commerce companies can use Prisync to track their competitor price automatically and improve their profit margin in an e-commerce competition. And they will be able to save tons of time by eliminating manual job. And suppliers use our software to prevent minimum advertised price violations and keep up their brand value at a desired level. We update all the prices of the products 4 times a day, which means that whenever you would like to check the competitors' price situation and market trends, we provide you a fresh market data. Moreover, besides of price checking, e-commerce retailers can track the stock availabilities of their competitors. With that intelligence, they can offer deals to online shoppers to increase their sales in such scenario. And also with the advanced features, you will get daily mails, instant price and stock change notifications, and dynamic reports on your favorite product groups. And competitor price tracking becomes a completely effortless job with Prisync, which only takes one-time job while adding the products, and means that you can enjoy the smartness of automated price checking overnight. So far, we are serving more than 450 e-commerce retailers from different 40 countries, such as Takealot, one of the biggest e-commerce retailer of South Africa. Avitela is also one of the biggest electronics retailer from Lithuania. And also we have Schneider Electric and Motorola as suppliers. For now, that's all I'm going to say about Prisync. If you're interested in finding out more, please feel free to contact us by emailing me that you can see on the screen, mert@prisync.com. We really would like to have a chat with you to evaluate your business fit with Prisync and show you what kind of benefits that you can generate by using competitor price tracking software. So now I would like to leave the stage for Whitney for today's webinar, how to understand your customer journey from your e-commerce analytics. Whitney, that's your turn right now.
Thanks so much, Mert. So my name is Whitney Blankenship. I am the content marketing manager for Divot, and I just want to very briefly, 30 seconds, tell you a little bit about Divot so you can understand where I'm coming from when I give you these tips about your customer journey. So at Divot, we specialize in data-driven attribution analytics for e-commerce. Try saying that 3 times fast. So basically, we focus on telling you which of your channels are the most useful for your online store. And we help you examine each individual touch point of your customer journey. You can mix and match your KPIs in our Analytics Explorer to give you a customized view of everything that you want to see in terms of your analytics and your data. And most of all, we make your data accessible and understandable again. Who wants to look at a huge list of KPIs? I mean, come on. So that's all I'm going to talk about. That's all I'm going to say about Divot today, but I want to just give you that context so you know where we're coming from. So let's jump into what we're going to go over today. So I'm going to go into touch points, why they matter, why they're important, and how they fit into the stages of your customer journey, how that customer journey fits and contrasts against your sales funnel, and what KPIs that customer journey affects. We're going to look at a practical example of how you can understand what your data is trying to tell you about your customer journey, and then we're going to use what we know to create a data-driven action plan. So let's just go ahead and jump in. Touch points. What are they? Why do they matter? Today, customers are more fickle and demanding than ever before. And this is not a trend that's going away anytime soon. Customers want personalization. They want things to be relevant to them all the time. So understanding and optimizing your customer journey means that you can offer your customers more personalization and provide the right message at the right time to the right person. And the best way to understand your customer journey and how it relates to your checkout flow is to rely on your analytics. Any touch point is an interaction with your brand or your e-commerce site. You've got 2 different kinds. You've got on-site touch points, which happen directly on your site, and these are the ones we can track in your analytics. And then we have off-site touch points, which would happen, for example, on your social media page, or perhaps just having your brand in front of someone's eyes on a different site, like as a display ad banner or something. Because a lot of people think that your customer journey is linear, when in fact it's anything but. It's really rare that a customer would purchase on their very first visit with you. Most customers tend to bounce all over the place before they decide to purchase. In fact, at Divot, we count 5.5 touch points on average between our merchants and their customers before a purchase can be made. We've seen as many as 20 touch points, 40 even. Some customers need more convincing than others. But what you should really take away from this is that each touch point is an opportunity. Whether a customer is interacting with your brand via Google AdWords or one of your social accounts or a banner ad on another site, each time they interact with your brand, they step a little closer to conversion. Understanding what we know about these touch points, we can move forward to how they fit into the customer journey. So while we look at the customer journey through conversion and reconversion, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on that initial conversion today, that initial journey. And there are 3 main stages of that customer journey. The awareness phase is the moment when the customer first discovers you and your products. Usually upon the first click through to your site, they're beginning to get a sense for who you are and what you have to offer. During the consideration stage, the customer is looking through your products and is starting to decide whether or not they want to purchase. This is typically one of the longer steps in the customer journey, and this is where all those little touch points happen. And the consideration phase is when you'll start to see some customers make the shift between low intent to high intent. Low intent customers are window shopping, and they may not make a purchase at all. The more engaged a customer is during this phase, the higher the likelihood is that they'll purchase, which makes them more high intent customers. And in the acquisition phase, this is the conversion we've been hoping for. The customer's made their decision and they've decided to check out and finish the purchase. So let's check out how the customer journey stacks up against your checkout flow. So during the awareness phase of your customer journey, your customer is likely to be navigating through your home page, your category pages, your product pages. And typically, the longer that a customer spends on your site, the further through this journey they are. When a customer adds a product to their cart, they've moved into the consideration phase, where the final decisions happen. They may even begin the checkout before they really decide whether or not they're going to purchase from you. As the customer navigates through your checkout flow and your customer journey, we can see behaviors from your data that indicate whether or not the customer is high intent or low intent. So let's take a look at an actual sales funnel. We can see how this customer journey applies to your real checkout flow. And you should always compare your conversion funnel by channel for the best idea on how the customer journey differs between these channels, because it will differ. You can actually see this between organic organic search and your site-wide averages. So this shows us the KPIs that we should also focus on to understand our customer journey. So the customer journey is all about two different things. It's your UX and your checkout flow and the patterns of your customer behavior. And when the two come together, this is where you find your customer journey. So let's take a look at the KPIs that are really relevant for this. So we can start by visits. So this is how many people come to your site from this particular channel. Page views per visit. This is how many pages your customer viewed while they're on your site. Average visit length is how long a customer has spent on your site. Bounce rate is how many visitors left your site without navigating past the landing page. They just kind of landed, they said, hey, and then they bounced, see you bye. Failed discovery rate or browse abandonment rate is how many visitors are navigating through your site and exited before adding anything to their cart. Cart abandonment rate is how many customers added products to their cart, but they actually didn't complete the purchase. And then finally, conversion rate is when we've made it all the way through the acquisition phase. So now let's take a look at a little bit of data, and don't be scared. I know this might be a little scary to look at. You're looking at a lot of KPIs, but we can actually break this down bit by bit and get a real understanding for how your UX is affecting your customer journey by channel. And the first thing that really pops out at me is organic Google, because it's bringing in 782 visits a month. And this has a relatively high page views per visit and average visit length. While it's not bringing in a lot of traffic just yet, we can see that the traffic from Google is highly qualified. The bounce rate is lower than the typical 35% average for e-commerce stores. Checkout abandonment rate is lower than the 70% average for e-commerce stores too. The conversion rate from this channel is fantastic. FYI, the average conversion rate for an e-commerce store is between 1% to 2%. So this channel actually offers a conversion rate of 3.58%, which is great. And if you take a look at search paid and Google, so we can see Google AdWords just a couple of lines above this, we can see this reflected in Google AdWords because we've got either the same or even better results and even more traffic coming from AdWords. So we can tell that people who are coming in via search are highly qualified. So let's take a look at a different channel. Organic Facebook has one of the highest traffic channels after direct, but the bounce rate is 51.8%. The checkout abandonment rate is 71.6%. The conversion rate leaves a little bit to be desired. It's 0.73%. And that's a shame because there's a lot of traffic coming in. What does this translate to in terms of orders and revenue and money? Google has 28 orders coming in for 782 visits. Facebook has 17 orders coming in from 2,300 visits. This is how you can start to see where the customer journey is different between your channels. Unlike organic Google, we can see that the customers coming in from Facebook are far less engaged, as seen in page views per visit and average visit length. They find the message to be less relevant, as seen in a high bounce rate. They're more likely to window shop, as seen in your high failed discovery browse abandonment rate. And they're far less ready to purchase, as we see in the checkout abandonment and conversion rates. This can definitely be a targeting issue, as the wrong targeting on social media could cause this kind of trend in KPIs. But it's critical to make sure that we're taking channel into account and we're thinking about the customer journey. Obviously, Facebook is working at driving traffic, but the channel isn't bringing in the customers that want to buy. Or your landing page isn't providing the right message to those customers. With that said, Facebook isn't necessarily a total loss. Remember what we talked about, the touch point, every touch point is an opportunity. This engagement still creates a touch point that we can examine for more information. So let's go ahead and keep this practical example, and we're going to take a look at how valuable Facebook is as a channel. So what I've done is I've taken the Orders Explorer in the Divot app, and I filtered for Facebook to see how many times Facebook plays a role in the touch points for an order. I want to see how often Facebook comes up in the customer journey. We can see that Facebook actually brings in quite a few touch points for your orders. While it may not always be the converting channel or even the lead channel, it still works towards moving your customer in the right direction. But a channel can be present in a lot of touch points and still not be very valuable. So let's see if it's actually moving customers towards conversion. So here we've taken just a closer look at each of these touch points. We can see that we've got a couple of bounces, low quality touch points, but ultimately Facebook plays a substantial role with several page views and longer sessions. But there's something that's really popping out at me as we look through these different touch points. Facebook users are mainly coming in via mobile. That's it. We can see that this might be a mobile UX issue. Mobile users are notoriously fickle and demanding. They bounce quicker and they have a lower tolerance for UX friction and long loading times. So now we know we need to change in order to improve this customer journey. We know which aspects of the customer journey are failing, or at least we're pointed in the right direction. We know the behavioral patterns of these customers and why they're behaving this way. We know how they're completing their purchases and then what we need to fix. So this leads us to how we can create a data-driven action plan, and this just takes 5 steps. Step 1, define your KPIs, and we've already done this. Let's say we want to improve our conversion rate from Facebook by 20% over the next 6 months. Now notice what I've done here. I've defined the exact KPI that I want to improve, and I've set a tangible goal. Now understand that tangible goals are always KPI driven, and they're attainable, they're realistic. Don't tell me that you want to improve your Facebook conversion rate, you want to boost it to 5%. That's wonderful, but it's not realistic, especially in the past 6 months. If your Facebook conversion rate has only grown by 10%, well, that's not very realistic, is it? If it's not realistic, there's no point in actually setting a goal like that. And most importantly, a tangible goal is measurable. This is something that we can actually measure. It's wonderful if you say, I just want to make more money. That's great, but that doesn't help you. It doesn't do anything for you. So step 3 is define a time frame. I said over the next 6 months. This gives me a selected amount of time where I need to implement a strategy and execute it. And finally, we're going to be defining this strategy. For Facebook, there's tons of things that we can do. We know that the users are coming in via mobile, so we want to start with a mobile UX audit. Take the least tech-savvy person you know and have them complete a purchase on mobile. Have them narrate everything that they're doing as they're doing it. This is going to give you a window into how your customer is experiencing your site. Also, check your landing pages from Facebook. There might be something going wrong on mobile. Create the specialized landing pages for Facebook visitors, or better yet, if you have people that are coming in from Facebook and they're coming in directly to your product pages, transform your product pages into landing pages. You can also create Facebook specific offers and discount, offer free shipping, offer 10% off. It makes them feel exclusive. It makes them feel like you really care about them because they're your Facebook fans. You can also try to capture an email with an exit intent pop-up. However, if you're having issues with your mobile UX, use this sparingly. If you're not having issues with your mobile UX, use this sparingly because this can be really irritating. However, the idea here is if, for example, you have a channel like email marketing, which has a higher conversion rate and it's working better for you, funneling users and customers from a channel that's underperforming to a channel that's higher, that's performing better, is a great way to impact your revenue. And finally, step 5, measure your results. There's no point in setting goals if you're not measuring and tracking your results over time. So there's a couple of things that you should do. First of all, start by downloading a report of your customer behavior. Set an interval for when you'll download the next report, and check your KPIs regularly over this defined goal period. I like to suggest weekly. Weekly gives you enough time to accumulate enough data that you can actually track and measure, but it's quick enough to where you can shift your strategy if things aren't going well, or if things aren't growing quite as fast as you'd like them to. And finally, track the evolution of these KPIs as you implement your strategy. That way you can be reactive. So if things aren't going well, you can react and you can change things up. So I just want to have a couple key takeaways for you. Just remember that each touch point is an opportunity. And remember that your KPIs are going to tell you exactly how your customer experiences your checkout flow. You can use these KPIs to define your customer journey optimization and really set a data-driven action plan that will improve everything for you. So I just want to big thanks to Prisync for hosting us today. I'm excited for any questions you may have.
Whitney, thank you for that great presentation. Actually, I would like to also thank you too because of that great presentation. Now we are ready to take your questions and we will try to answer them. But while waiting our guests to ask their question, Whitney, I would like to ask a really quick question about the attribution model.
Okay.
Actually, how can we define the attribution model? As you mentioned in the presentation, that there can be multiple touch points of a customer. Let's say an online shopper can see an ad of us, but became an actual customer through the organic search. And could it be really possible to define the exact source of a customer? And what should be the KPI of that purchase, let's say?
So if you remember any of the GIFs that I had in the presentation a little earlier, I showed the Orders Explorer. And this is where you can examine things touch point by touch point, which I highly recommend doing, if nothing else, just to get the information of how your customers are moving through your customer journey. In terms of attribution, a lot of data and analytics tools tend to default to last click attribution, which is wildly, wildly obsolete. And I cannot stress this enough. There is absolutely no reason to treat a multi-channel customer with a single touch attribution model. I could literally talk about this for an hour and a half because attribution is the name of our game. But the point is that as each touch point is valuable and as each touch point contributes something towards conversion, it only makes sense to use a model that takes that value into consideration. There's actually two different kinds of models. There's a position-based model, which is basically going to determine the value of a touch point based on how far or close it is to the actual conversion. And then there are data-driven models, which take other things into account. For example, did your customer look at the checkout page when they were on your site? How long did the customer spend on your site? Did they navigate through a lot of things? Were they active? Did they perform certain behaviors? And what you can actually do is you can implement a machine learning algorithm model, which sounds really complicated, but really isn't, and actually get a sense for how valuable each touch point is based on predictive analytics. This is something huge that we offer at Divot as well, which I really can't recommend enough. So if you have any other questions about that, I can definitely provide you with more information. We have an attribution email course. We have a couple of webinars that we've done about attribution. I can point anybody in the right direction with some more links so that you can kind of understand a little bit more about attribution and how each of these touch points contributes value.
Actually, yeah, we have talked about the e-commerce, but do you think that attribution model can be also applicable for SaaS companies or, let's say, software or service companies?
Absolutely. If you have any kind of sales funnel, you should be using an attribution model. You should understand exactly how your customers are behaving on your site and what channels provide the most value to you. Because when you understand the channels that are providing the most value to you, you can improve your ROI, you can reduce your marketing spend, and you can boost your revenue. And it's really that simple. Attribution equals more money. And when you have a good attribution model that shows you your value, you're going to make more money, because you'll be able to make better decisions for your online store or for any business.
So in a nutshell, you recommend us to focus on multi-channels and find the most best performing channel and focus on and improve the ROI by focusing on that best performing channel, right?
Absolutely. Your attribution model absolutely should be multi-channel, and it shouldn't be position-based, because position has very little to do with whether or not a channel is valuable. What really counts in terms of determining value is the actions that your customer performed, the behavior your customer had while visiting your site. And the only way to really do that is to use data-driven algorithmic attribution. And again, if you want more information on how to do that, at Divot, I mean, we're the experts on this. We can help you do it.
Okay, thank you very much, Whitney, for your great answer. And also we have another question from Lotte. Are there any type of reports you would like to recommend to keep track of KPI data on a monthly basis?
Hey, Lotte, thanks so much for your question. So in terms of a type of report, what I would do is actually keep a customer behavior report. If you're focusing on the customer journey, you could do um, a customer a customer behavior report. And basically using all the KPIs that I showed a little earlier. And actually, funny story, we actually have monthly reports that we offer for our customers called health check reports. And I actually have a little bit to tell you guys about that later. So I'm actually going to skip this part of the question just until the end, and I'll tell you guys a little bit more about health check reports because we have a special little gift for you guys.
I think there's no questions from our guests right now. Do you have anything to add, or you have mentioned that you have a surprise for our guests today?
That I do.
Yeah, maybe you can move forward. Yeah, perfect.
So, as a special bonus for joining us today, we're actually going to be offering these free health check reports to attendees. Have you ever wanted somebody to analyze your data and tell you exactly what you're doing wrong or what you needed to do to optimize your UX, reduce your costs, or boost your ROI? That's exactly what the health check report is, and a lot more. And it comes with a free 30-day trial of Divot. We can help you get set up and installed for free as well. So if this is something that might be interesting to you, reach out at us at the link that we have included here. I understand the presentation decks and the replays are going to be sent out to everybody afterwards. We'll be reaching out too. But if this is something that's interesting for you, either click on the link or join us in, or I can, send me an email at whitney@divot.com, and we'll definitely get you set up and get your KPIs and everything analyzed for you.
Can I use also that for Prisync?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much.
No problem.
So I think this is the end of our webinar right now. First of all, Whitney, thank you very much for your time and for your insightful topic. And also for our guests, thank you all about your time and thank you for attending our webinar, and hope to see you again in our next webinars. We will announce them later in this week and also the next week. Thank you all again.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.